The Soviet Union stood as a giant on the world stage. Born from revolution, it reshaped the geopolitical landscape. From the ashes of Tsarist Russia, a new order arose. Its story is deeply intertwined with its leaders. Lenin, Stalin, Khrushchev and Brezhnev each left an indelible mark. Their decisions shaped the destiny of millions. The Soviet experiment, with its triumphs and tragedies, continues to fascinate. Vladimir Lenin, the architect of the Bolshevik Revolution, laid the foundation for the Soviet state. In 1917, his party seized power, promising peace, land and bread. Civil war raged, threatening to tear the fledgling nation apart. To consolidate power and win the civil war, Lenin implemented war communism. This radical policy centralized control over the economy. Recognizing the need for change, Lenin introduced the New Economic Policy, or NEP, in 1921. The NEP represented a strategic retreat from full-scale socialism. Lenin also sought to export revolution. He established the Communist International, or Comintern, in 1919. Lenin's policies laid the groundwork for the Soviet Union. Following Lenin's death in 1924, Joseph Stalin emerged as the paramount leader of the Soviet Union. Stalin, a ruthless pragmatist, embarked on a brutal program of forced industrialization and collectivization. He believed that the Soviet Union needed to rapidly industrialize to compete with the capitalist West. Stalin's first five-year plan, launched in 1928, aimed to transform the Soviet Union from an agrarian society into an industrial powerhouse. It focused on heavy industry, particularly steel, coal and oil production. To achieve these ambitious goals, Stalin imposed strict central planning. The government set production targets for all industries. Resources were allocated accordingly. Collectivization, another key element of Stalin's plan, aimed to consolidate individual peasant farms into large, state-run collective farms. Stalin believed that collectivization would increase agricultural productivity. It would free up peasant labor for industry. However, collectivization proved disastrous. It met with fierce resistance from peasants who were forced off their land. The forced collectivization of agriculture led to widespread famine. Millions of peasants perished. Stalin responded to resistance with ruthless repression. He unleashed the Great Terror, a period of mass arrests, executions and deportations. Millions of people, including many loyal communists, were accused of sabotage, treason and counter-revolutionary activities. Despite the horrors of Stalinism, the Soviet Union underwent a remarkable transformation. Industrial production soared. New cities and factories were built. The Soviet Union emerged as a major military power. Stalin's regime, while totalitarian and repressive, laid the foundation for the Soviet Union's victory in World War II. Stalin also sought to control the cultural sphere. He imposed socialist realism as the official artistic style. Socialist realism glorified the achievements of the Soviet state and the working class. It served as a powerful propaganda tool. Stalin's legacy is complex and contradictory. He was a brutal dictator responsible for the deaths of millions. Yet he also transformed the Soviet Union into a modern industrial and military power. Section 5. Khrushchev, the Thaw and its limits. After Stalin's death in 1953, Nikita Khrushchev emerged as the new leader of the Soviet Union. Khrushchev, who had served under Stalin, initiated a period of de-Stalinization. He denounced Stalin's crimes at the 20th Party Congress in 1956. He released millions of political prisoners from the gulags. Khrushchev's secret speech, as it became known, sent shockwaves throughout the Soviet Union and the world. Khrushchev also implemented a series of economic reforms. He decentralized economic planning, giving more autonomy to regional authorities. He emphasized the production of consumer goods, recognizing the need to improve living standards. Khrushchev's reforms, while significant, were limited in scope. He remained committed to communist ideology. Khrushchev's foreign policy was marked by both confrontation and coexistence. He pursued a policy of peaceful coexistence with the West, believing that capitalism and communism could coexist without war. However, he also oversaw the construction of the Berlin Wall in 1961, a potent symbol of Cold War division. Section 6. Khrushchev confronting the West. Khrushchev's rule witnessed a series of international crises. The Hungarian Revolution of 1956, a popular uprising against Soviet domination, was brutally suppressed by Soviet tanks. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962 brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Khrushchev's decision to place Soviet missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida, was met with a firm response from President John F. Kennedy. Despite these tensions, Khrushchev also sought to improve relations with the West. He met with President Kennedy in Vienna in 1961. He participated in a summit with Kennedy and British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan in 1960. These summits, while failing to produce any major breakthroughs, reflected Khrushchev's belief in the need for dialogue. Khrushchev's reforms and his erratic foreign policy ultimately led to his downfall. He was ousted in a bloodless coup in 1964. His successors, led by Leonid Brezhnev, reversed many of his reforms. They ushered in a period of stagnation and conservatism. Section 7. Brezhnev, Stability and Stagnation. Leonid Brezhnev, who succeeded Khrushchev in 1964, presided over a period of stability and stagnation. Brezhnev's rule, lasting until his death in 1982, is often called the era of stagnation. He reversed many of Khrushchev's reforms and reasserted party control. His policies focused on heavy industry and military production. This led to consumer goods shortages and declining living standards. In foreign policy, he signed the SALT I Treaty with the US in 1972. The Brezhnev Doctrine justified the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia in 1968. Section 8. Conclusion. Legacies of power. The Soviet Union, under the leadership of Lenin, Stalin, Khrushchev and Brezhnev, left an indelible mark on the 20th century. Lenin's revolutionary zeal, Stalin's brutal industrialization, Khrushchev's thaw and its limits, and Brezhnev's stability and stagnation all contributed to the rise and fall of this communist superpower. Their policies, shaped by ideology, ambition and circumstance, had profound consequences for millions of people. The Soviet experiment, with its triumphs and tragedies, offers valuable lessons about the nature of power, the challenges of social engineering, and the enduring appeal of utopian ideals. While the Soviet Union itself is no more, its legacy continues to shape our understanding of the world. The decisions of these leaders, their successes and failures, provide a cautionary tale about the complexities of governing and the human cost of unchecked power.